Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. And of course, you're recognizing that I am not Reverend Teresa Feverts. I am Reverend Emile Govro, or as I'm called by some people, Rev G, and I can tell that story later. Right now, welcome to our global community where we are live from my home office in Sarasota and broadcasting from Bobby and Teresa's home in Sarasota, and we are being received here in town and all around the world. We have a wonderful community that's been growing over this past year of all the various stay-at-home, work-at-home, isolation things that we're working on. Hopefully everyone is staying safe and sound and that we are making it through this time as best that we can. I want to start out by saying a couple of things. Reverend Teresa asked me last week if I would speak today. She thought she was just going to be needing to take care of some necessary business, and it turned out, as sometimes happens when we're making one plan, something else happens, and it turns out her younger sister has had a stroke on Friday morning, and Reverend Teresa has been attending to her sister in the hospital and helping her brother-in-law, and so we would definitely ask for prayers for Reverend Teresa and Bobby, as well as Teresa's sister and brother-in-law and the rest of the family as they move through this time that I know anytime there's a health crisis in the family, it's very trying on everyone. So with your own understanding and peace about that, bring them to your mind in your prayers. On a happier note, earlier last week, Reverend Teresa had her ordination panel, and she passed with flying colors, which is a major step for those of us in the ministry. It is lifelong. I just got a correction on a text. I'm sorry to say it was brother-in-law who had the stroke, not sister-in-law, or sister rather. So sorry about that. So we can switch our attention to the brother-in-law with the stroke and supporting the sisters and the rest of the family. So, but Reverend Teresa did pass her ordination panel. It's a major step in our process. It's the last sort of official step that we take as we move through the paths. We have all of our classes to get us to practitioner training and ministerial licensure, and then it's anywhere from 1 to 3 years in the process of getting to the place of ordination. And Reverend Teresa is successfully navigated that path and well earned approval on her ordination. So we can all congratulate her on that major milestone as she's moving along her spiritual path as a minister. So we just take a moment and turn within and just turn into that space and of knowing that there is one power and one presence everywhere, and in the infinite nature of that power and presence, I have great gratitude to know that it is pervasive. It is all-knowing and all-powerful, and it is everywhere, flowing and moving through the entire universe, creating and energizing everything, all the new and all the existing and all that has been, and just knowing that it is in that eternal activity of the creativeness of spirit that we engage this morning in this activity of Sunday celebration. And I know that each one of us is an expression of that infinite spirit, that infinite energy that flows throughout the universe. And as we grow and move and flow in this energy, we are lifted on high into the perfection and wholeness that is spirit all the time. And just taking a moment as we begin this prayer, this affirmative statement, declaration part of the prayer, that we just simply declare that right where Reverend Teresa's brother-in-law is, there is perfect peace and wholeness, and that this stroke is a condition and not the definition of who he is, and that there is God's infinite support for Reverend Teresa and her sister and family and Bobby and all those involved in the care of this individual with the stroke, that this condition is under the good care, and that all the hands caring for him are the hands of God, the hands of the nurses, the doctors, any attendants, all those involved in delivering services and care, the hospital employees, that this is God representing itself in form. So I know that all is well, all is being lifted to its highest possibility and the highest and best for Reverend Teresa's brother-in-law in this and every moment. And I know that same thing is true for each and every one of us, that we are being lifted to our highest and best in this and every moment, that the universe is coming together for our highest and best good. As we define it, as we may have an idea of what it should be, and the universe has its defined plan for how it will express in, through, and as us. So I'm grateful to know this. I'm grateful to speak this word, grateful to simply release this word into the law of mind, where I know that this is already done, already perfect, whole, and complete, and taking form as we speak right now. So in that gratitude, I release this word, and we can say in a worldwide and a unison of, and so it is. And now, my pleasure to introduce Emile Ross, who is our songstress for the week, and we always enjoy Emily and her performances. So good morning, Emily, and take it away.
Good morning. Thank you, Reverend Emile. All my thoughts go out to Teresa and her brother-in-law and all her sisters and her family. That's a lot to go through. And this song is called Precious Light, and it's about trusting your intuition, trusting that magical place inside that exists in all of us and through all of us, trusting that it's inside of you. All right. I've been staring outside for quite a while, hoping that you will see a part of me. I ask everyone to be my guide, tell me who I should be, am I right? But this precious light that I hold inside, it's for me to find, it's with me tonight. And this precious light can give us warning signs, show the path that's right, be a darkness guide. Out, away from the crowd, away from this trying to be like I need to breathe in, so I can begin to finally liberate, not be afraid, 'cause I've spent most of my life confused, 'cause I'm looking to find the peace in the ones I need, but I find most of my thoughts were never mine, and the darkness feels blinding me. La-di-oh-oh, la-di-oh-oh. path that's right, be a darkness guide. Precious light. Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Good morning, everyone. My prayers also go with Teresa, her brother-in-law, and family. God bless. My reading today touches on faith. Ernest Holmes said, "We must climb over the rocks of unbelief, pass around the barriers of doubt, and plunge into the stream with faith." My reading is as such today. Have you ever wondered what your next step should be, or sat in the middle of a difficult decision? Have you ever felt stuck in some way? You have probably heard that the adage that any decision is better than no decision at all. Well, sometimes that is true and sometimes it's not. The best advice I ever received when I was in the midst of tribulation and indecision was that I could just wait until I was clear about the decision. How comfortable are you waiting in those in-between places or times? How do you find peace in the midst of indecision? I have found that what I tell myself makes all the difference in the world. I stop the variety of scenarios running through my head and engage in the wisdom within. I turn my attention to the presence of peace and love. I embrace and embody a sense that I am guided. The spiritual principle is to be at peace and walk in faith, especially in challenging situations. It is done unto us as we believe. What do you believe about your life right now? What are you saying to yourself about who you are and how your life is? If it is not what you want, what's not what you really want, then I invite you to create a new vision. Our faith has the power to create miracles in our lives. Let us keep forward in faith, knowing that the infinite good awaits us as we abide in spirit. The affirmation for today is, I am guided in all ways in my life, and my way is made easy. Thank you so much. And now back to the awesome Emily.
Thank you, Mike. That was great. So this next one is another song I wrote. This one is called On Your Own, and it's again about sometimes you have to be by yourself. You have to go into yourself and be alone to find out what you need. And it's hard to be alone because most of the time I feel like people need people, and that's a beautiful thing. But then when you're by yourself, it can be really scary, but it doesn't have to be. And so that's what this song's about. Take it on. No more running scared. The fear is gone. How long should you keep traveling on to feel you grow? How long should storms storms keep raging on to keep you home. You are not the same as you once known. Family starts to go on your own, but now's the time to feel most free, so let it go, 'cause only the brave will stop running to feel alone. On your own, you know you're on your own. On your own, you know you're on your own. You're not alone. On your own, you know you're on your own. On your own, you know you're on your own. You're not alone. You are not the same as you once known. Family starts to go on your own, but now's the time to feel most free, so let it go, 'cause only the brave will stop running to be alone. On your own, on your own, you know you're on your own. On your own, you know you're on your own. You're not alone. Finally, you've come to take it on. No more running scared, the fear is gone.
Thank you, Emily. Wow. I'm inspired. And thank you, Mike. Reading was right on for our topic this morning, which is leap of faith. And before I get started, I have two things. One is I'm always honored when I'm asked to speak in place of a senior minister, because I know that there's a sacred trust between a minister and the membership of the center, and for someone like myself who is not the senior minister to come in and be given the awesome responsibility of Sunday morning shows a lot of confidence on the part of that minister, and it's a responsibility I take very seriously. So that said, let's move forward. So leap of faith, when I was looking at the theme that Reverend Teresa has been working with, which is the theme from the Centers for Spiritual Living. We worked through week one, which was one journey, many paths. Second week was the infinite invisible. Third week was one mind, infinite connections, which really fit nicely with the virtual convention that Reverend Teresa and 9 others from the center attended. And today's topic or theme worldwide for Centers of Spiritual Living is Journey to Freedom. And my inspiration for the title Leap of Faith comes from a song written by a friend of mine, J.D. Martin, and the lyric in the song that says, "When we dare to take the leap of faith, somehow the bridge appears." And I've listened to the song over and over, and listened to that line over and over, just to allow it to sink in, to get the full understanding and dimension of what that means. And many things have crossed my mind. And the other thing is that in putting together a Sunday morning, and the music and the reading and the talk, which I'm doing now, something for me always kind of magical happens. Emily was given the freedom to pick songs from her repertoire that she felt fit the topic of the day. Mike was given the freedom to pick a reading that fit with the topic of the day, and then I get to do the topic of the day. And what I always find is I have an idea, and then after I've heard the reading, I've heard the songs, something else usually happens. And that's the part where somebody asked me, well, what happens on Sunday morning? And I said, well, I walk in, I open my mouth and turn it over. And that is a ministerial leap of faith on my part, for sure. And it's worked for me for a long time. So we're not going to mess with that this morning, because that's something that's beyond anything that I feel I can control. But I do want to talk about, so these topics that we have had, the one journey, many paths. I think that's very easy to intellectually say and maybe think is true, that there is an infinite invisible. I think we probably can agree that we live in an infinite universe. The scientists haven't found the edges of it yet, working forward or working backwards. I just watched a course on that topic with a Caltech physicist as the instructor. The other one is the idea of one mind. Now that may take a little bit more of a quote unquote leap of faith on our part, but and that there are infinite connections. But I think even science is telling us there's infinite connections in terms of the electromagnetic energy that's emitted by our bodies that goes out into the world, and one way or another, if you're the focal point of the universe, you're emitting electromagnetic energy, and people are receiving your energy and they're emitting their own energy, and it goes on and on from there. So there's a touching that happens. And then I think we all have a concept of freedom, but I think we can have these ideas on different levels. So I think there's the idea of what we can understand with our heads, we say in our jargon of today, the idea of wrapping our brains around it, wrapping our heads around it, which sort of is an interesting visual if you want to take it to that point. But I think the step that takes it from this 15 to 18 inches, depending on how tall you are, from the head to the heart, is really the journey that we're talking about. That's the journey that takes us to the freedom, the journey that takes us out of the ego talk, the mental confusion that we can be in, that was the lack of clarity that Mike's reading referred to, the discomfort we have while we're waiting for that next thing to emerge. And that's where we really want to be able to be in that space. And I've got to say, as Mike brought up that idea of the two things, climbing over the rocks of unbelief. And not so much that I've been in a place of unbelief, but I definitely felt there have been rocks in my way, and the need for getting unstuck. And some of it, a major milestone in my life was about 1.5 years ago, where I had open heart surgery. It happened to be the same day that Reverend Teresa had her appendectomy, and she texted me to speak, and I said, well, but I'm on the 4th floor at Sarasota Memorial. She said, oh my goodness, I'm there too. Not on the 4th floor, but we were at the same hospital, same weekend. And what I've watched is my own, I can look back now and I have lived through my lack of clarity after that event. Because as you might imagine, if you've had that experience or you know somebody close that has, it's a traumatic event. And I have felt stuck in many moments. I have felt like I've had a lot of a lack of clarity and a lot of uncertainty and a lot of discomfort for sure as I was waiting for that clarity to come back. And it struck me in that process that I was stuck a lot in my head. I was in my head and not so much in my heart. And I look back over my life and my spiritual experience, which goes back verging on 30 years now. It sounds like a long time. How could that be? And knowing where I started was, very much in the intellectual, very much in my head, very much in the doing world of work, and do more, be more, all that kind of stuff. And then similar with the social world that surrounded me, and then finding science of mind as I did with my wife at the time, who's still my wife. It was just at the time that we found science of mind, started a spiritual path. And when I first heard that term, the spiritual path, I had no concept of what that meant. I would say I'm still gaining more and more understanding of that, but I think I understand more now than I did back at the beginning. And the idea of being in my heart, the heart that can know without needing the physical evidence, the heart that can know and feel without having to filter through all the ideas and the confusions that we might have mentally, the heart that can be in the space of just sensing what is the right thing to do in the moment. I would have to say that about a year ago, one of my big frustrations that I shared with the therapist I was talking to, that I would love to have an answer to what would you like to do? So I was struggling. I was really feeling lost. And so in that, I started to look back on what I started to do years ago when I started my spiritual journey, when I got onto what I now understand is ultimately a journey to freedom and a spiritual path, that path that takes us out of our heads and into our hearts, into that place where we can be one with all things, that we can take the journey and the infinite invisible and the one mind concepts and the whole idea of the journey out of the conceptual, intellectual, and into that spiritual feeling space of knowing that there is something greater than ourselves, that there is something that can lift us up when we need to be lifted, that can carry us forward, that can walk side by side with us when we're feeling strong enough, that we are in the place of moving through. And to me, that to a large extent epitomizes what this leap of faith is. We're leaping from sort of a intellectual knowledge of ideas of how things might work to that knowing that they do work that way, that they do work in a way that supports us, that when I can say in a prayer that I know that the universe is always coming together for my highest good, for your highest good, for whomever's highest good that I am speaking a prayer with and for, I know that to be true. I have seen many, many, many examples in my own life. I've seen many, many examples in the lives of people that I've prayed with and for, who've done their own prayer work, and just knowing that there is something greater than what we can put our hands around and physically touch or hold or read in a book. I always joke that probably 3 of the first 4 spiritual books I read basically said, you're not going to find your spiritual path and your spirituality in a book. And of course, my thought was, why am I reading the book? And then they would go on to say, of course, we can tell you where we've been and where others have been, and it may give you some understanding of how you might get there yourself. So don't stop reading and don't stop educating yourself and learning more and learning about what other people have done, because that was part of what I did back in the very beginning. I took a full, and I'm not sure whether feet first or head first is more committed when you dive in, but I did whichever one it was, and read everything literally I could get my hands on, went to as many Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights at Agape in Los Angeles as I could go to, participated in all sorts of things, and just immersed myself in this whole idea of spirituality and being spiritual and being around in a spiritual community. And I would say at the beginning I was around the spiritual community, to eventually I was being in and part of the spiritual community. And so I've been on that path again. I reintroduced this inundation. I reintroduced my getting involved in many ways that my surgical experience took me out of. And what I can say joyfully today is that I'm seeing that I'm going to say it this way, back on the path, I'm finding the heart space. I'm finding the space that allows me to express in a way that I felt like I had lost, quite frankly. And so maybe some of you feel that way. Maybe some of you are just starting out. Maybe you've not, quote unquote, been there yet, and you're trying to understand more and feel like there's something more, which is what started me way back in the 90s on the path. I felt like there needed to be something more than work. Come home, go back to work, come home, go back to work, start over again every Monday, sometimes not even stop for the weekend. There had to be something more. There had to be something beyond that, even though it looks successful, rut. I think we can be in a rut at whatever level. There's no discrimination in terms of what rutness might look like. I think we get stuck at a place and we know that there's something beyond it, and it's not more work, and it's not more money, and it's not more prestige or recognition or whatever you might be getting at the time. It's something that lifts us up to another place of understanding, takes us deeper into our own being and understanding who we are and how we relate, takes us into worlds that I know when I started, I didn't understand and didn't think were possible. The idea of not judging. Well, how can you not judge? That was my initial thought. How can I not judge? That person is clearly not right, or that person is, doing something that doesn't make any sense, or, whatever. And more, I got the idea, and I'm getting that idea back again in a new and better way of separating the behavior of any of us from who we truly are. And to me, that's another movement into faith, knowing that I can look at someone, and regardless of what the outer trimmings look like, whether it's political or economic or clothes or work or whatever it might be, however you might differentiate people and put them into categories, that none of that really matters. None of that really matters. If we're all created from the one infinite source, then we're all created, if you want to go back to the Christian Bible, or really the Hebrew Bible in Genesis, created in the image and likeness. Actually, one of the quotes says, "Let us create in our image, male and female alike." Oh my goodness. So there was more. It sounds like there was a collection of beings there creating all of us. One way or another, we were created out of that idea, created from the one source. And so then if you take on the lenses of seeing everyone as having started in the one source, from the one source, at the beginning of the one, then we are all alike in one way or another. At the core of our being, we have similar needs, wants, and desires. At the basics, biologically, we're pretty much all the same. You know, obviously different skin colors, different sizes, hair colors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but all the same basic components: organs, bones, vocal cords, ears and eardrums, same senses, so on and so forth. So if we start there, we are all one in that. We are all beings in the same. Then we differentiate. We have individuals like Emile and Len Seligman who are expressing their hearts through their music and their lyrics that they write that inspire us. And it is our hearts that get inspired when we listen to their hearts. When you watch Emily doing her 2 songs with her eyes closed, she's praying. You know, these songs that come forth from the heart of these songwriters. These are prayers in my mind, and when you listen from that point of view, it changes the whole perspective of what we hear. So, what is this leap? What is it? So, you know, when we dare to take the leap of faith, somehow the bridge appears. Well, part of that leap, I think, is upward into the spirit, into the idea of spirit, into the idea that there's this infinite knowingness, this infinite beingness in which we can trust, in which we can give ourselves over to, knowing that we are going to be okay, we are going to be well cared for, not deserted or left behind. And we step into a space of knowing that we are stronger than we would be by ourselves, for we are not alone. And so how do we, so part of that, I think we bolster through spiritual practices. And I would say the first 2 that always come up in my mind are meditation and prayer. Meditation for centering, taking us into our hearts, out of our heads, all the mantras of the meditation types that I've done. I haven't done that many, and I'm not an expert like Julie Birch is. But virtually all of them are taking us out of the thinking mind into the feeling space, the space of maybe we're focusing on breath, or we're focusing on a mantra, or we're chanting, or whatever it might be, but we are not thinking about what we're going to do next. We're not thinking about this task or that task. So we are calming ourselves down. We are releasing the stress of every day. We are releasing the confusion of every day, and being with whom we truly are. And the other one is prayer. And in prayer is, to me, an act of faith. And somebody in a class I was teaching was saying, well, I had this, but I didn't think it was important enough to ask for prayer about. And I gently responded, there is nothing that's not important enough to ask for prayer about. If it's important to you in a moment, if it's creating discomfort or desire, you have a desire for something new or different, or however it might be showing up, if you're in that space of the discomfort of waiting that Mike talked about in the reading, and waiting for clarity, that's something to be prayed about. That's something to take into prayer. And you can take it into prayer yourself. And this is also a place of, do I have the faith of knowing that my prayer, my word, and this would be you speaking to yourself, is strong enough, is the word that I can have faith will have some result. And sometimes my answer to that for myself would be no. I need to hear somebody else's voice telling me that it's possible. Quick story: Mary Morrissey in her Prosperity Plus course, I think it might even be the very first session, if not it's the first or second session, is telling a story that when she was, I think, 17 years old, the doctors were telling her that both of her kidneys were infected. She was in the hospital being prepped for surgery the next morning and was visited by someone who may have been either a Christian Scientist or a religious scientist. She never really defined, or could have been a unity person. Anyway, that person was talking to Mary and said, "Do you believe that I can pray with you and both of your kidneys, when they get in to look at them, will be infection free?" Long story short, Mary says, "No, I can't believe that." And then the woman said, "Well, could you believe that we could pray and all the infection would go into one kidney, leaving the other kidney healthy?" And Mary's answer was, or sharing was, she said, "I'm not sure whether I believed it, but I could see that she believed it." So Mary could believe that the person who was going to pray with her believed that it was possible. And the woman prayed with her, and when they went in the next morning, the surgeons found one healthy kidney and one infected kidney. So she didn't have to have both of them out and go on dialysis and all this other stuff. She's alive today with that one functioning kidney. So belief in the power of someone else's word. That's why Bobby at the end of every Sunday morning says, if you would like prayer, send us an email. Pick up the phone if you got the phone of somebody. I've prayed with prayer partners. I've had practitioners whom I've received spiritual counseling from, and all of that to bolster my own belief level, to where even to this day, there are times where my wife and I are both ministers. She's not a practicing minister in the way that I am, but we ask each other for prayer or to be held in each other's prayers, and we do that. And there's just a power in knowing that somebody else is knowing the truth for me. So when you hear me pray and declaring truth for you, I'm knowing what is true, what can be true, what is true, what's evolving as the truth, however you want to look at that. Excuse me. So it's a powerful, powerful tool and a powerful, powerful practice. Don't discount it. And if you have the opportunity to participate in it, I would suggest you do it. If you haven't learned our model, we have classes, and I would encourage you to do so. So when we take this leap, we're moving from, I'm going to say, sort of the intellectual to the spiritual. We're moving from sort of wishing and hoping into knowing. We're moving from lack of clarity and perhaps, excuse me, some distrust or mistrust or lack of trust, of however you want to define it, into trust, trusting that the universe is coming together, trusting that there is this one mind, that there is this journey to freedom. And as we move from the head to the heart, we're moving from confusion and out of the world of the weapons of mass distraction, the weapons of the news media and the newspapers and the doubters that may surround us. All of that's a distraction to the truth that we know at heart, that there is one mind, one powerful spirit, one activity that is common to us all that we can tap into when we give up all that other sort of ego-dominated, ego-generated world around us. And in that we can find the peace, in that we can find happiness, we can find freedom, and we can move into a space of knowing that all is good and it's good all the time. So I would want to just invite you briefly into this idea of just the declaring and knowing that there is one power and one presence everywhere, that it's flowing and moving in through and as each one of us as its creations. We have been created in the image and likeness and out of the substance, that one substance of spirit. And that as we have moved into that space of understanding and knowing, I can know for each and every one of us that there is a flow and a movement of spirit in through and as our very beings. This day, this moment, this now, right here, right now, of upliftment, of release of conditions, of release of confusion, of settling into a space of knowing that all is well and all is good, and that the universe is indeed coming together for our collective and individual highest good. And I am just so grateful to know this, grateful to be able to declare it, grateful to be able to speak it for and about all of you, wherever you are, and not just those watching and listening and tuning in later, but everyone everywhere, because we are all indeed one connected in this one universe. So with that great gratitude, I release this word into the one mind, knowing that it is indeed already done. And so it is. And now back to Emily for another beautiful song. Thank you, Emily, and thank you all.
Thank you so much, Emile. I really needed to hear that today. I'm going to sing If I Ever Lose My Faith in You by Sting. And yeah, this was my mom's favorite song. She was a science teacher, and she has a really big role in why I'm a part of the spiritual community. She was just a very spiritual person. She passed away 4 years ago today. And so today's a big day for me. And this one goes out to my mom. Some would say I was a lost man in a lost world. You could say I lost my faith in people on TV. You could say I lost my belief in our politicians. They all seem like game show hosts to me, but if I ever lose my faith in you, there'd be nothing left for me to do. I never saw no miracle of progress. I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you, Emily. One of my favorite songs too, and poignant moment remembering your mother this way. Thank you for sharing that. And I got to say that I was I look out across the Sarasota Bay here, and I believe while the song was going on and his talk was finishing, there were a group of dolphins out there playing, splashing up a lot of whitecaps. So it was, I think we were creating joy everywhere in these moments. So this is our time for offering. This is a time where we get to share from our treasure. I firmly believe and studied and taught Mary Morrissey's work, where she talks about time, talent, and treasure. And time and talent has to do with volunteering and giving of our time freely, and treasure has to do with what we have in the treasury. And as we all know, that it does take money to keep doors open and broadcasts going and all those kinds of things. And so I would encourage you to practice circulation. It is, I'm working with the Course in Miracles right now, and part of the lesson of this morning was giving and receiving are of one mind. In other words, it's part of the same activity, that it's a flow. As we give, we receive. As we receive, we're able to give. And I love the teaching that I found. I can't tell you where I found it years ago, but that when we give with confidence, we are demonstrating we understand the confidence of knowing that we are going to receive. So, and part of that was we can't receive until we are able to give. And if you're feeling blocked, you may not be giving forth of time, talent, and treasure in various ways. Something to look at, something to think about. I do that anytime I'm feeling blocked, and try to see where I might be dammed up and not flowing in terms of the giving activity in my own life. And it does happen from time to time, and I'm able to think about that and contemplate, take it into meditation, and pray about it. So, but it is a practice, and I encourage you to practice it with the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast, that we become a stronger and stronger ministry and can reach more and more people, because I believe we have a very important, powerful message. And I'm going to invite Bobby back to seal the deal, so to speak, with our inspirational giving song. Bobby?
Thank you, Reverend Emile. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. Thank you, everybody. And now to Mike for our announcements. Mike, you're muted.
I do this all the time, don't I? Anyway, good morning, everyone. Mike Rosario again. And I have just a few announcements real quick. Be sure to sign up for our newsletter at CSLCulturalCoast.org. CSLCulturalCoast.org. The newsletter is a great way to stay connected. And this is where you can find a lot of information and links to sign up for our classes, to give donations, and all sorts of good things. So be sure to sign up for it. And when you do, go down to the bottom and sign up there at the on the website. And also make a note, Julie Birch, Sunday night meditations. Julie Birch is one of our practitioners and a fabulous meditation instructor. Also, she hosts those that are seasoned meditators like myself. So be sure to join us on a Thursday night. She does it every Thursday night. Julie is also teaching an upcoming class. It's called Meditation and Treatment. It begins Monday, March 15th. And you can get all the details on the newsletter. So again, go to cslculturecoach.org and sign up for your newsletter. Bobby is now posting in the chat the Zoom link for today's special, today's social time that begins right after the service. So please be sure to join us. And also you can find that address, of course, that link in the newsletter. Thank you all. God bless and see you next week. Back to Bobby.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you very much, everybody who has helped make this broadcast possible today. Thank you, Emily, for your amazing music. Thank you, Reverend Emile, for that inspiring talk. I feel so full, and thank you for all your, everybody, for all your prayers and comments, supporting our family. And I appreciate you all. And if anybody needs prayer support, please email me or call prayer@cslculturalcoach.org. We're going to finish up today with a Karen Drucker song called My Religion is Kindness. My religion is kindness, my church is nature, my God is a feeling that lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious, my path is forgiveness, my religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Everyone has a story, everyone has pain. When we strip away our masks, we find we're really all the same. It's those little things we say and do that can mean so much. A smile, a connection, a simple loving touch. My religion is kindness, my church is nature, my God is a feeling, lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious, my path is forgiveness, my religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Today I'm going to ask myself, what more can I do to be a radiant child of God? Let my love shine through. Gonna let my heart be my guide to give the best of me. Gonna share my joy, share my love, give it boundlessly. My religion is kindness, my church is nature, my God is a feeling, lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious, my path is forgiveness, my religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown. Jill came running after. She said, Jack, tell me, what can I do to help to ease your mind? Hold my hand, just be kind. I know I'll be fine. My religion is kindness, my church is nature, my God is a feeling, lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious, my path is forgiveness, my religion is kindness, I practice it every day. My religion is kindness, my church is nature, my God is a feeling, lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious, my path is forgiveness, my religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Practice it. Practice it every day. All right, we'll see you in the Zoom chat in just a minute.